Queenzflip misses an episode of the Joe Budden podcast, and Joe Budden doesn't even acknowledge it. That's right, on episode 731, Queenzflip was absent from the podcast, and it is quite shocking to not see Joe Budden even acknowledge that Flip wasn't there. There was no mention of Flip not being able to show up. In the past, Joe would say, "Oh, Queenzflip is exercising his contractual obligations by not being here." And I think this is something we should focus on because we don't know what this means for the show. And I have noticed a couple things change with Queenzflip. Most notably, his network is back up and running in full swing. Like, he has that reaction channel stuff down as far as reacting to music and all of that jazz. Like, he was able to capture the hearts and minds of the people. And I think that now more than ever, Queenzflip is poised to leave the Joe Budden podcast and be able to succeed without the platform. But what does this mean for Joe Budden? As I largely think that the podcast has not been the best, especially the Patreon, and it has suffered ever since Flip decided to tone it down and be a little bit more reserved. Now, even that could be a commentary on what Flip's strategy is. I think he was trying to show his value. There was a moment, few episodes where Flip wouldn't say anything. He would be quiet. He would be measured. And I think it was to demonstrate just how much he meant to the show. And there was a time when Flip was turning up for the Patreon. I do remember that. When he first got there, those Patreon episodes were classic. It was a lot of pod about potting. It was a lot of Flip cursing out Ish cursing out Flip. But then, I don't know if the business got messed up. I don't know if the structure got messed up. Or Flip's expectations were too high and Joe Budden let them down. Flip just became a new Flip. And then there's obviously Improper improv. Ian has said for like thousands of times, Improper improv is coming back. We're working on it. Yet it's been more than a year since Improper improv is aired. And there's no clear direction on where that's coming from. And I think it was because of the money situation. If you don't remember, there was a moment when Queenzflip was mad at the way he was being compensated for Improper improv. I think it was something along the lines of Flip decided to do Improper improv as a result of the extra money that Joe Budden was giving him. I think he looked out for him. He was giving him extra money on the side, on the hush-hush. And Flip had thought that that money would continue when he did Improper improv. But in order for the money to continue, Ian decided to start an amendment. And in that amendment, who knows what Ian put? Perhaps there was some type of clause where they could control certain things or where he couldn't quit in a certain way. And Flip bugged out. He lost his mind. He went crazy on Joe and Ian. And that's a classic episode. I might actually do a breakdown of that episode. But now we arrive to today where Joe and Flip seem to have something interesting going on. I'm just saying, it's a big deal that Joe didn't say anything about Flip. Didn't say one word about Flip. He was absent. Elliot was there. I know Flip got arrested, they say. But getting arrested is a big deal. But I don't think it was an arrest where he couldn't make the show. And he also dropped a piece of content that day, which kind of looked like an ad to me, where he was reacting to someone's music. Either it was an ad or he was doing a solid for someone he knows. So there was no excuse given. Why wasn't Flip there? How will the show survive without Flip? Obviously it will survive. They survived without Rory and Mal. But how will this new version that conceivably could exist if Flip were to leave exist? Right? Ish, lackadaisical. He's not bad when he talks, but he's not going hard all the time. Ice, you already know what I think about him. Melissa Ford, she's a burgeoning C-list actor, and I don't see her trying to take the pod to the next level. She mostly goes viral out of less strategy, more so just by mistake with the Cameron situation, with the Eddie Griffin situation. It doesn't seem like she's able to execute a game plan. She still hasn't been able to fit in the show. And I think overall, without Flip there, all of these components, it's going to be a tough road for Joe. I think you're going to see episodes where Joe starts to lose it if Flip is not there. I think you're going to see episodes where he has to carry conversations. Basically, I believe we're returning to the Uncle Pod. That's right. The Uncle Pod is on the way. And I had thought Imani would be kind of the poor man's Joe Budden. Not an insult. I'm not trying to diss Imani. But, just a guy that wasn't afraid to give it up. But within a few months of him being there, he is more measured. He's more balanced. I think he's trying to maintain his peace. When he first got there, he was more like, I think, trying to embrace COE, content over everything. And I think that went a little left for him. It went awry. And now he's a bit more measured and not as, how do you say, eager to please the audience or eager to please Joe. And I can see it in the way he pods now. He's more happy. I mean, maybe it's a better trade-off. Maybe being more happy is more fun. You see the stress. Flip be looking stressed out, man. Flip be looking stressed out. Now, to wrap up this video, I'm going to say that Flip wasn't on the last episode of the Joe Budden podcast. Joe didn't mention it at all. And I think he's conveying a message there by saying this show goes on without you. That could just be me, but I think that's what's going on. Then Flip has Flip the Network, a platform that has finally returned in some measure. And who knows what happens when he leaves the Joe Budden podcast. He might do Flip the Script again. He might do the house thing. I forgot what it was called. The house. I don't know. Flip the House. And even though that's dangerous, I think he learned from that incident with that lady. And I believe that, even if you look at Adam 22, right? Adam 22, he had a network full of people under his umbrella that he couldn't control. And eventually it became too much to bear. And he would end up pressing the eject button on it and restarting a new strategy because of that incident with Dejan. I think the Dejan Paul incident was what caused the shift in strategy. But that's my thoughts on that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that Flip is in hot water? Or do you think that I'm just making too much out of nothing? All right, y'all. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. Follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.